Welcome to Fitness by Design. This is the podcast where we engineer optimal health, energy, and confidence for corporate men just like you without having to sacrifice any of your career success or family time. I'm your host, Coach Spencer. This is part 2 of my raw and uncut episode with my client, Adam Waters. So sit back and enjoy the rest of our conversation. That's right. I was gonna take it there, but I was going to transition it with a question before I led into it, which is,
Listen,
you're down
we've been
60
working together
pounds on
for 2
average.
years. We've been working together for 2 years. I can read you a little bit here.
So you're down 60 pounds. Like, I'm going to reiterate that a million more times before we're done. What has changed for you on your day-to-day life that you couldn't or wouldn't do at 290, but you're now doing at 225, 230?
Yeah, I think definitely more energy. Like when I said, and you said this a while back, I was the healthiest fat guy you've ever known. Like, true story. Even at 400 pounds, I was playing basketball once or twice a week for an hour. I was coaching wrestling, coaching football, which is more standing around, but like literally physically coaching wrestling, doing those kind of things. Um, but and then I've done some of that throughout as I've lost weight or gained and gone there, but definitely more energy, um, the ability to go push myself harder in workouts. I can feel that for sure. I can feel that I have more energy, that I feel better, other than my knees, which I've done a lot of damage to over the years from being overweight. Um, I think that's some of the biggest there. And then just in my personal life, like, and because I'm an open book and fully transparent, like, I have been a single dad for almost 15 years and uh, not dated in 12 years or 13 years or whatever it was. And that's changed now too. Like, since in the last 6 months, I've met somebody um, who I've now gotten into the first relationship of my adult life with, and definitely think that that's a piece of the confidence that I've built and the mindset that I have, and just so many pieces there that we connected on with goal setting and who we are and trying to get better as individuals and then together now. And um, yeah, that's one that has definitely in the last 6 months, obviously been a huge thing for me and changed my life pretty drastically through that time too. And I think a lot of that comes from the success that I've had through the work that I've done over the last 2 years.
Yeah. And that that was definitely one of mine. I think the other one, and this is more, 2023, like kind of earlier working together, was actually when you started working at DBAT.
Yeah.
Was because when we first started working together, you were working what, State Farm? And
Yep.
I remember, like, your personality wasn't this. You weren't who you are right now on this podcast. And I remember, I couldn't tell you the date or the exact time or the exact weight, but I remember there was a point in time where I sent you a message and I was like, I just want to say, like, I love the fact that, like, through this program, like, who you truly are as a person has come back out and shown itself to the world.
Yeah. Yeah. One, and to give a little background there too. So I was a teacher and a coach for 12 years, left education. So I love working with kids. Like, that's a huge thing for me.
This is not that kind of podcast.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can
Sorry.
still hear you.
Oh my gosh. Somebody was trying to call me and my headphones switched over. Um,
Oh,
so I was a teacher and a
so
coach
did you not
forever.
hear what I just said?
No, I totally didn't hear a word you said.
Yeah. You said, "Oh, I love working with kids," and I said, "This is not that kind of podcast."
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, no. That's what I love doing. That's my passion. And I got away from that. I got out of education for so many different reasons, and that's a whole different podcast also. But so I worked for a State Farm agent who's a good friend of mine, and I love him dearly. But I sat at a desk for a couple years, and that's not my forte. I'm an active dude. I love being around people. Like I'm definitely an outgoing extrovert, and sitting at a desk with a headset on, nothing against people that do it. Love it. Great for you. It's not for me. So then getting the opportunity to go start working with kids again at DBAT, which is a baseball and softball academy, got my passion rolling again, and like I got back into doing something I love, and so we started working together. Was it March 2023 or like beginning of April 2023, something like that? Um, and I started working part time with kids at DBAT, like end of April 2023, and then left for full time June of 2023. And when you say that, I do remember you texted me or sent me a message and said like, "Hey, what changed? Like something's different." And that was, I think, when I had just decided or was just getting ready to make the decision to like go take that jump. And you said exactly that. You're like, "Yeah, your personality kind of came out." And you didn't know me before that. You didn't know, but you could just tell that there was a shift there and that something was better and different. And so then got to go leave sitting at a desk and get back to doing something that I'm passionate about and that I love, in helping kids and being around sports all day long.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly what it was. Like there truly was like, I didn't know you from a hole in the wall before we started talking. And it was just like such a noticeable like change from being me, corporate, miserable, sitting behind a desk with a headset on, to like I'm doing what I want to be doing. And I feel like realistically, like you guys in the program probably see it on days where I'm just like head down in my corporate job and you start messaging me and I'm like snippy and mean to you guys. And then it's like Saturday rolls around and I'm doing check-ins and I'm like super happy go lucky because I'm doing coaching. Um, but so, obviously we're already over time, which is about right. Um, I don't know. How much more time do you have?
As much as you need. I don't have any plans.
Cool.
I'm also
Cool.
2 hours behind you, so it's only almost 5 o'clock here, so I'm good.
Very true. Very true. Cool. So, I mean, I guess with that, like, what do you feel like coming into the program outside of like, hey, we're going to make your calories way higher over the last 2 years, not just like that initial piece? Like, what do you feel like has really separated this program from anything else that you've ever done?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big part of it, and we kind of talked about this, was the fact that this program is meant to fit within your life instead of making your life fit within a program, if that makes sense. Like, hey, we're gonna figure out who you are, what you do, and go help guide you into making better choices or just being more aware of those choices and hitting some goals within there. But you never have once said like, hey, don't do that. Hey, you can't do that. And I think that's especially for what I've done many times over the many years that I've done stuff. Like it's always that restrictive piece or that takeaway or that don't do this, don't do that, as opposed to like, yeah, no, go do that, but track it and hit these goals. And so I think that for me is one of the biggest of it's not it's never been a negative mindset, I guess, or a there's not a lot of don't or anything like that. It's yeah, okay, cool. Let's change some things a little bit, or let's just be mindful of how we're doing these things. Um, go out and have beers, but understand how that fits within your daily goals. Um, go eat a pint of ice cream at night, but understand how that fits in your goals, or go find the higher protein ice cream that helps you kind of do both. Things like that I think really sets this apart from other programs that I've tried or other things that I've been on or other things that I've seen and heard throughout the many years.
Yeah. Yeah. And for anybody that's like sitting here laughing about saying like you can eat a pint of ice cream and lose weight, uh, one of my other clients, Ari, is going to be on the podcast whenever the podcast airs. We're recording this weekend. And this is a man that literally lost 15 pounds eating a pint of ice cream every single night. I don't know how the hell he did it, but he did it.
When
And we'll
I had
dive
to
into
give a
that when
shout
we talk
out.
to Ari.
I had to give a shout out to my guy
Uh,
Ari. Like
yeah.
we're
Yeah. And
pretty
this is
good
the
buds
most
for that.
polite shout out that Adam has given to Ari in 2 freaking years in the program. Um,
Listen, it always ends with "I love you." Like it might be digging pretty hard at the first, but it's always, always comes back around to the love side of things.
yeah. So, I mean, you kind of talked about it though, is like, there's that flexibility, right? Like that ability to eat the ice cream and still lose the weight, to make your workouts fit. Like, do you feel like having that flexibility has actually helped you stay more consistent with making the progress that you've made?
100%. I mean, there's no question about that because it's not, I guess on past programs or other things I've done, and I've definitely said this to you before too, like you have an off day or a couple of days or an off week and it's like fuck it, I screwed it all up. Like it's what's the point? Um, but having the flexibility and the thing of like, yeah, hey, cool, no big deal. Like it is what it is. We'll go get back on the train and not the hounding of like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that, or don't ever do that again. Just like, yep, yep, cool. Like let's keep going. Like it's not a big deal. Or hey, I ate a little too much ice cream tonight, or hey, I went out and had a cookie thing with or had cake or beers or whatever. Like I think that's a huge piece of the success and the mindset for me that I haven't gone to that like F it all, I'm done, I've screwed it up, so might as well just go eat my feelings because it's not a all or nothing type diet. I guess might be the best way to
And I
describe
think,
that.
yeah, and I think that like you can attest to this too. Is a lot of times when you check in and you come to me and you're like, I only got 3 workouts in this week. My response is never, what the fuck? I think probably 9 times out of 10 or even 99 times out of 100, my response is, all right, cool. How can we get to 4 next week?
Yep.
Right. Like, I mean, I don't think that like my mindset is never, you didn't do the work. Like, how can you expect to get results? It's like, okay, cool. Like you did something. It's better than doing nothing. How can we show up 2% better next week?
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's the piece that well, maybe this is giving away the secret sauce, right? But other people miss, other trainers miss or mess up on is that and sometimes you need it. And you and I have had these conversations too. Like sometimes I need you to be like, hey dude, buckle down. Like let's get this shit going again. Um, but sometimes when that's like right off the bat and that's all it is the hard ass and the like, oh yeah, you messed it all up and that like that doesn't necessarily work. There have been a few times over the last couple of years though where you've called me on my shit and like I appreciate that because that's who I am, but we've built that relationship. And I think you earn the right sometimes to call people on their shit, right? You just go hard at somebody right away, they may or may not respond well to that. And that's never been your MO or from the beginning wasn't what it was. It was like, cool, hey, great, we got something. Now how do we go get a little more? Or hey, cool, you overate. How do we go eat a little less? Or whatever, whatever that is there. So it's never been the all or nothing mentality or the like, yeah, you really fucked that one up. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the rookie showing up to training camp thinking that he's the Tom Brady quarterback that just won 7 Super Bowls.
right.
It's like, hey, there is still a little bit of humbling, even on my side too. Because I don't think it's ever happened with you, but I definitely think there's been a couple of times where like I have gone a little hard in the paint on people, and I kind of get the response back, and I'm like, okay, sorry, like I didn't mean to come at you that hard, but like we gotta show up a little bit better here.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so with that, I mean, kind of to start to wrap this up because this will end up being 2 episodes at this point because we've been going for so long. But just for guys that are listening to the show and they're maybe in a position where you were, you're just kind of stuck. They may be feeling like they're burning out. Nothing's going to work. They've tried a million different things in the world. Not even like pitching my program. This is not me saying like sell my program for me. But like, what advice would you give to somebody that is just in that position where they're like, I don't know what to do. I've tried everything, nothing's working. What should I do?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing, and I've said this to people before and said it on here before, but like I had to finally admit that I needed help, and I think that was the first step for me, whether that's with Spencer or not. I mean, I'll tout Spencer's praise all day long, but whether that's with Spencer or not, like you have to, if you really do want to change, you have to finally admit that you want that change and that you need help with it. And that was one of the hardest things for me. I'm stubborn and don't like to ask for help. Um, but that is the piece that ultimately has led me to where I am, was the finally, just me finally being like, yep, I know as much as I know and I don't know what I don't know, so I need to reach out to somebody that can help me figure out a little more there. Um, so I think that's my biggest piece of advice is it's not weak to ask for help. Like go ask for help. Go find somebody that has knowledge in a place you don't and that can help guide you through that. Um, and then maybe that's a good fit, maybe it's not. Maybe it's a long-term fit, maybe it's not, but like you don't know what you don't know. So find somebody that does. And for me that was the nutrition side of things more than anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always look at it because I'm an engineer and a math nerd. Um, but I always look at it as like, there's that piece, like you were saying, is like admitting that you need help and being humble enough to do it. Um, but then I always look at it as too as like my program's not free. Now I have free to very low cost of entry options for guys out there, which I'll talk about when we finish the podcast. But there is a level of it too where like you have to start to view your health as an investment in the future. It's no different than buying stock in the S&P 500. Like you're investing time, money, effort into being around. Like you have a 17-year-old son. Can you imagine if you just like were like, fuck it, I'm just not going to do anything. And then maybe you don't get to see him, get married, or you don't get to see grandkids or anything like that. Like there's a level of it that I think is hard for guys to comprehend, of that, like, what does life look like in 20 years if I don't do this? And being willing to invest the time and the money today to say, hey, look, I can fix this problem and I can fix it in the next year, or I can wait 5 years and it's worse, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a couple of things come to mind when you say that too, and obviously not calling anybody out and wouldn't ever use names, and I don't even know, but like a while back, you said something within one of our group chats, which I'll talk about the camaraderie and the brotherhood that's built there too, but was like, hey guys, like you're paying me for this. Are you paying me for no reason? Like if you want my help, I'm here to help and I'll guide you through it, but you also have to do the work. Um, and that piece of like it is an investment, but also you do have to show up for yourself, not just pay you for nothing. You're like, I'm not just here to take your money, which is one of the thing. Like you're genuine, you actually do care, and you're not just trying to make a paycheck. You're trying to help change lives, and so that's one thing I think that can make a huge difference for people, and for you to go in and say that, like, hey, if you're not going to do what we've worked on or what we've talked about, like stop paying me every month. There's no reason. Uh, and that's so much different than than how a lot of people run businesses. Um, and so your genuine care and concern there, I think, is huge. And then within that too, like the brotherhood and the bond that's built, and the conversations we have, and the vulnerability that we can share within our groups, the friendship that I've created with you, but then also with Ari. I've never met Ari in person, right? But we're pretty good friends, and have some good times and some inside jokes, and can go give each other shit, but also go show up and push each other and support each other. Um, there's some other guys in there that have really stepped up and are really showing up more for themselves and interacting within that community, that are really starting to see the results as a part of that too, and can reach out when they need help, and we celebrate when they have a win, and like it's huge. You're not on your own, you're not alone. So take advantage of that. Like use that to go help on those days where it's a little tougher when you do need a little extra help.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always, I always have preached like there is a one-on-one component, obviously. Like I'm your coach. You get a one-on-one coach. You deal directly with me. But I think I said it in my onboarding, and you came in way before my onboarding was what it was today. But even in that, it's like the guys that have the most success in this program are the guys that stay active. The guys that not just doing your workouts and tracking your freaking nutrition. Like, dude, that's the most boring, basic bullshit in the program. Like, you don't, it's the necessity, it's the necessary evil to the program. Like, it comes down to nutrition and workouts. There's no way around that. But the bulk of the program, I think, is realistically like if you show up in those group chats, you show up and connect with the other guys in this community, you're building lifelong friendships, lifelong relationships with guys that, to your point, like you and I have never met in person. Ari and I have never met in person. You and Ari have never met in person. But without a question, if you put the three of us in a room with a bottle of whiskey, the whiskey would be gone by the end of the night, and we would have the funniest fucking stories to tell for the rest of our lives. Because we would just sit there and just shoot the shit for probably 4 or 5 hours. And like that's the stuff that you don't get doing it on your own or doing it in a vacuum, or I'm not going to knock other coaches because I don't know what everybody's program looks like, but it's like I'm friends with a lot of coaches and I help mentor other coaches. And one of the biggest things that I tell people when they're like, my clients aren't staying with me, it's like, okay, well, do you have a community? Are people engaging with each other? Like, is there is that camaraderie there? Is there that brotherhood or sisterhood for, women coaches? Like, is that there? Because if that's not there and it's just like me and you, maybe I'm wrong, but like if we didn't have that community piece, I don't know that you would continue working with me because you would be like, yeah, I can figure this out on my own. Or I can find somebody that like will do it cheaper, or I can just write down your workouts and like all this stuff. Like, I don't know that you would still be sticking around year after year if that community piece wasn't there.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're gonna have to let me know when this comes out and when Ari listens to it, so I can go send him a message and tell him bring him back down to earth after this Ari Love Fest. But um, like little thing, like I posted a picture in the chat the other day with my Gallo Fitness shirt on, and he immediately sent me a message on Instagram like, "Dude, holy shit! Like you look amazing," and I'll go send him stuff, and like truly that piece, that camaraderie, that brotherhood, um, is invaluable. Like I don't know how to describe the value of that piece of like developing those friendships, those relationships, that dude that I also know I could call you or I could call Ari and be like, hey, I need help with this. And be like, oh, yeah, dude, what do you need? Like, here we go. Let's go. And we've never actually met each other in person. Right. So that piece I think is huge. Then for me too, it's cool. Like Lee, who's newer in, but is seeing some phenomenal results. And I see him a couple times a week and we get to go talk about things and we get to go hang out and enjoy each other's company and each other's wins and struggles and go do that in person. Like that piece I love too. And um, there's just so much in this community. And I talked about it earlier. I'm a people person. I love people, and so that for me is huge. Definitely, if it was isolated, it'd be a lot tougher for me.
In the back of my head, don't ask me why this is what's coming up, but I'm just picturing that scene in the movie The Town where Ben Affleck runs in and he's like, "Hey, I need your help, and we're gonna hurt some people." And Jeremy Renner just goes, "Whose car are we taking?"
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Yeah, I'll shoot first, ask questions later. Like it is what it is.
Yeah, it's like that's the mindset. It's like, yeah, like, and you're right. Like obviously, like Ari lives significantly closer to me. Like I could drive to Ari's house in like 2.5 hours. If Ari ever called me and was like, I'm in a bind and I physically need you here, like I would literally look at my wife and be like, is there any reason that I can't go to New York right now? And if she said no, I would be in my car driving to New York City.
Yep.
Without question.
Yep.
And like
Yeah.
Ari's not paying me for that. Like that's just genuinely like, yep, you need help, I'll be there. Like, what do you need? Where do I need to get to? Tell me where I'm going. Yeah. And the same for you. It just takes a lot fucking longer to fly to Colorado.
The flight's about the same. It's just all the airport time. The actual travel time's probably
get into the
similar.
airport. Yeah, it's the hour to the airport that kills me. Um,
Yeah.
I think that we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but like to make it a little bit more of a sales pitch, if somebody was talking to me or you or whomever was just listening to this podcast and they were like, yeah, this all sounds fucking great, but like, is it going to work? Or like, is this for me? Or should I DM Spence or should I join his challenge or any of that? Like, what would you say to somebody?
I mean, I've said this to multiple people. Like, first thing, there's no harm that comes from a conversation. And you've said this before. Like, that person may decide you're not the right fit, and you may decide you're not the right fit for them. Like, there's a two-way street there. So there's no harm in having a conversation. Um, the other piece I think for me is like, I'm not going to bullshit you. It's it's simple, but it's not easy. Um, what we do, what we've gone through, what I've gone through with you for the last 2 years, it's simple. Like the formula is simple, but it's not easy. It's hard work, both daily sometimes on the nutrition side or the gym side, um, or the sticking to it or the mindset of like, oh, I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to, or skipping a workout, knowing I should do it, but I mean, it's there. That piece is there, and I stole that saying from the guy I work for, and that I hold in very high regard. Of it's simple, but it's not easy. Um, if you want to make a change, you got to make a change. Like you could go through tons of cliches out there, but that's the truth. Um, if you really genuinely are not happy with where you are, whether that's me, I was at almost 300 pounds, or Ari, who was a lot less than me but lost some weight and gained muscle. Like there's something for everybody within that, but the first piece is you have to go make a change. Like you have to go actually decide you're ready for something different. I think that I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yeah.
that's my piece of it.
Yeah. Just,
I say that a lot.
yeah, no, I love that. I love that. And I'm also snickering to myself because you're like, Ari was significantly less than me. It's like, dude, Ari weighed half of you.
I know. I was trying to be nice.
like,
That fucking guy.
like Ari weighed 150 when he started, like half.
Yeah,
so,
literally,
so in my
literally
head,
half of me.
I'm laughing to myself. You're like, oh, Ari weighed a little bit less, but like we did talk about that, and like I'm sure I'll have this conversation with Ari as well when he's on. But like we had this conversation when all three of us talked on the last podcast
Hmm.
was the fact that like you were 290, Ari was 150. And then guys like Doug had come in at 300, 305. Jake, who's in the program, came in at like 285, 290. Like, but then you have guys like Lee that's, came in 175 or 180. Like, they're all over the place. And we talked about this before. It was like just how, well, I didn't say it. You guys actually said it. It was like how crazy it is that this program is so custom and tailored that the ability to have you at 290 pounds get to 230, 225 at your lowest, but then also the same programming, the same style, the same coaching got Ari from 150 to 135 and shredded as a motherfucker at July 4th.
Yep, yep. Well, and I think that's the thing. And as you started to say, like it's not a cookie cutter program. It's not just like a hey, here it is, go do it. Like it literally is tailored to you. And we have those conversations. And I mean, obviously, I don't see the check-ins you have with other people. Um, Lee will share a little bit with me with some of that, but it's like there's it's not a hey, here's the program, it just works for everybody. It's like, no, hey Adam, here's your program, here's our goals, let's sit down and talk about our goals. Hey Ari, here's your program, let's talk about your goals. Hey Lee, hey Doug, hey Jake, hey, like it's not a cookie cutter program. Like it's going to be tailored to what you need. And within that, over the last 2 years, like I mean, my goal has always been to lose weight, but the program's changed. The program shifted at different points in, okay, hey, we're in a weight loss phase. Now we're in a muscle gain phase. Now we're in a weight loss. Like, it's not just uh, you don't have it all written out. Like, just you're going to do this no matter what. It's changing and evolving as things change in life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even to that, like when we started, you lost your first 30 pounds working out in your fucking basement.
Yeah. With dumbbells.
Yeah. With a pair of adjustable dumbbells. I think you had an adjustable kettlebell and
Yep.
then like a bench and bands. And that was it. And you lost 30 pounds. Now you work out at your facility and we changed your workout program around, but it still is relatively tailored. Like it's what you're doing in the gym is not what anybody else is doing. The programs are similar, like the style is the same, but your workout is drastically different than anybody else's because you have certain equipment that somebody else might
Hmm.
not, and vice versa. Like everybody's programs are completely different, which sometimes is a mind fuck for me when like because you and Ari have programs that have to be rebuilt at the same time every time. And I have to remember that like you have certain equipment and Ari has certain equipment because he works out at his firehouse. So it's like you guys have like relative limitations in what equipment you have, but you're still able to get exceptional results even with that just because we're able to build it around that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. When I shifted from my basement to working out here, you're like, okay, hey, take a video of what you have, and then you went and built it custom to what was available. Um, and then within that, you're like, hey, if there's a workout in there that you can't do, let me know, and I'll figure out something else for you, like the band or the cables, right? A lot of them are cable stuff, and it's like, okay, I don't have a cable machine. Cool, let's go do this instead, or let's go substitute this one instead. Um, and so it's again not just a cookie cutter approach and like, hey, this is going to work for everybody. It's like, no, hey, for me, right? What's working for Adam? What does Adam have available, and what can we do within what is available there? Um, and then how do we go shift that, or how do we go from a low rep, high weight muscle building to a low weight, high rep, more cardio intensive type lifts, or, like all that kind of stuff too. So it's definitely not one size fits all. It's designed to you and your needs.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it, man. I have one last difficult question for you.
There you go.
Um, what would you say is the biggest thing that you have learned about yourself throughout the last 2 years working together?
Man, you could have sent this one to me ahead of time.
This is like the bucket list question in the last episode.
I know. Will you read it one more time while I think about it?
Yes, it's just what's the biggest thing that you have learned about yourself throughout the last 2 years working together?
I mean, I think it's just that, like, I can do it. I can go do whatever I put my mind to. Um, there's always been doubts and things like that, but it's just the piece of like, if I really set a goal, I can go do that. And I think that part of that's in the weight loss, part of that's in the muscle gain, but part of that's in my personal life and my professional life and the things that have come around since the time that we started working together. Um, and that doors have opened because I made decisions to go better myself and better my life. Um, I don't know if that's a full revelation just since we've worked together. I've kind of known that, and I've known that I can do hard things and go accomplish things, but definitely the belief in doing that and what those changes will do for me in every aspect of life definitely has been huge for me.
Awesome, man. I
Thanks for
love
the
that.
hard
So,
question.
yeah, don't worry. I'm not going to tee up Ari for any of these either. So, and your episode will not come out before his records, so he won't even have like a heads up.
I was really hoping you'd at least send him all the nice things I said so he'll say nice things about me.
No, I'm just gonna like tee him up so that he drops like a hard like fuck Adam on here.
Fine. Wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, wouldn't be the first, won't be the last.
No, not at
But as
all.
you said, it is always followed up with, but I love him.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, 100%.
so with that last question that I got for you, and this one is like a full on T-ball, and like, dude, just smash this one out of the park. Is there anything at all that you want to bring up, you want to talk about, you want to pitch, you want to sell, whatever? Floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, I think I truly love helping people, and the piece for me with this, within this framework, within everything is just I mean, make a decision. Go make a decision for yourself and decide to make that change. Um, it's not always going to be easy. It's going to test you. It's going to push you. But believe me, like I'm a living testament to like the difference it makes in you physically, personally, professionally, like in everything that you do. So that's again, whether that's with Spencer or not, like I'll sing Spencer's praises all day and I'll tell you to go work with Spencer. But like just make a change, just make that decision, go do the hard things. It'll definitely be something that you're proud of yourself for, and that you look back and it changed your life in many ways before you even knew it. So I think that's it. That's what I got.
Wow. I was expecting like a shameless self promotion of like, oh, if you need a
I know.
mortgage, like
I
follow
know. I
me.
thought about it, but that's not where I am right now. That's not it. That's not what this is about, Spencer. But also, my
Uh,
phone number is no, just kidding.
yeah, yeah. I will shamelessly self promote you. If you need a mortgage, Adam is a phenomenal mortgage lender in Northern Colorado. I don't know if you're licensed in any other states yet, but
48,
if you're in
48 of the
Colorado and
50.
you listen, if you were in the lower 48 and you want a mortgage, give my man a call or follow him on Instagram and send him a message. Best mortgage lender you can find. If and when I ever move my house, I'll be giving him a call as well. So,
Thank you.
with that said, to wrap up today's episode, I just want to thank all you guys for listening. This has been a very long episode, and I, quite frankly, don't want to go through the time and effort of editing it because it's been an hour and 15 minutes that we've been going. So, you guys are, if you're still here and you're still listening, you have gotten the complete, raw, uncut, unedited version of this. The only thing that was edited was the opening intro. And with that, I just want to thank you for listening to this episode. So, with that, for everybody that's been listening who wants to get results just like Adam, you can literally start today just by going into the show notes. There is a link to join my 7-day metabolic jumpstart challenge that will take you directly to the page. You can buy it. It is $14. And because you're a listener of the Fitness by Design podcast, you will get 7 days of extra trainings completely free included inside of that challenge. So you get 14 days of trainings, education, workouts, meal plans, all of that stuff for $14. If you're not sure about it or you want to talk about doing a little bit more than just a 14-day challenge, DM me the word design on Instagram at Spencer H. Gallo, and we can just have a conversation, see what makes sense, and see how we can get you wherever you need to go, whether we work together or not. So with that, Adam, man, thanks so much for being here. It was awesome. I really appreciated you being here. You're a fucking inspiration to me and hopefully everybody else that's been listening. So I've appreciated you being here. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Thank
Everybody
you.
else,
And
we'll see you in the
anytime.
next episode.